Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Muddled Thoughts. I am joined by,
Ryan?
And I'm Zach.
and I'm Max. So we left off on Runaway on the last episode, on episode 2.
Yeah, I think we finished that one up, right? And we're now on to number 7 on the list, By Myself.
Good old By Myself.
But I'm with all of you guys, though. So I feel real good about this episode with both of you.
Yeah, we got some reinforcements for sure.
Seems like we're catching on to some themes already, even just halfway through the album.
Yeah. I'm wondering if these themes are going to hold true through the second half of the album. Again, because we got through the first half. It got pretty heavy there for a little bit, with some of the different themes that kept coming up. So I guess we all listened to it. I don't know if the second half really gets any better. What do you guys think?
I don't think so. I think it just progresses further down. Well, I mean, do we mean gets better as far as mood or gets better as far as musical quality? I guess is the real question.
Ooh, good question. You want to go first, Max? Because I got some hot takes, so maybe you should.
Wait, time out. Hold on.
Hold on. We're like 3 minutes in. You're calling timeout already? The game just started.
Oh, I might have had a bad timeout here. Are we doing we didn't discuss drink orders.
We're going to get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to say where we left off and then...
Okay, sorry, Max. So, do you think it goes down from mood standpoint or musical quality?
So, I've got some hot takes, Max. Do you want to hop in first? So I'm afraid if I answer, I might get derailed a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. I think in terms of musical quality, I think the first half kind of takes king, just because I mean you've got Paper Cut, which has got like the really cool intro with the really heavily gated drum kit thing, and you got like One Step Closer, which is such a big heavy song, and Crawling. I mean technically I guess By Myself is on the second half, but I just think the first 7. I mean, in the end, we all know is like the biggest hit, but
right.
I don't know. Do you think it's the best song though, even though it's the biggest hit?
Nope, I do not.
Either
think
do I.
At the End is the best song at all. I don't think we should say what the best song is because we did kind of rank everything.
We did rank.
So that'll be a little surprise later.
I will just say that it doesn't matter if it's this album or any other album that I listen to. My general opinion is that the song that's declared the hit or the number one single is far from the best song on the album. I mean, if anybody says that the radio play song is the best song, then they probably didn't listen to the rest of the album. I hate the way radio works because they say, oh, here's the new one from so-and-so band, and the album's been out for 7 months, and there's, 12, 13 other tracks, but nobody knows them.
Mm-hmm. It's just whatever gets played on the radio is what they end up being known for. And whether that's like their best work or not, it doesn't matter. It's always just whatever's like the most catchy or easy to remember, usually.
Yeah. That's just a, music nerd rant, I guess, but yeah.
Not only that, like listening to stuff on the radio, it's not the same. Like, because the audio quality is so bad, you're not even really listening to the same song. If you listen to that same song off of a vinyl or even just a CD, I mean, it sounds totally different. You can actually hear like all the deep stuff and sometimes like even just like underlying melodies that you don't hear on the radio.
And that's why I strive for, the highest quality headphones or Bluetooth speakers or whatever, because you can hear stuff that's never been exposed before. I mean, there could be one harmonic line that makes one song you've listened to a million times the best song ever because you've never heard that before.
Mm-hmm. The whole digital versus analog debate as well, with vinyl
Right.
versus CD. I mean, I'm sure you guys know plenty about it, but for those who don't,
Yeah.
with analog, talking more about like a continuous stream of information, like with vinyl, everything is captured on that press. But with CDs or any other form of digital media, it's all segmented, right? It comes in packets that come over on the CD, so you're not getting everything that was recorded at the time. It's a good approximation, but it's not the exact, so that's kind of why you see vinyl making a resurgence for those diehard people that really like the true recording, I guess you could call it.
CDs are like edited live TV recordings. You only get the important stuff.
Right. Yeah. That's a whole nother topic, though. I think we might even talked about that before on the podcast, but that's an interesting conversation.
I believe so, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Should we get going here into the second half, gentlemen?
Absolutely.
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. Track number 7, By Myself.
Behind me, do I follow my instincts blindly? Do I hide my pride from these bad dreams and give in to sad thoughts that are maddening? Do I sit here and try to stand it, or do I try to catch them red-handed? Do I trust some and get fooled by phoniness, or do I trust nobody and live in loneliness? Because I can't hold on when I'm stretched so thin. I make the right moves but I'm lost within. I put on my daily facade, but then I just end up getting hurt again by myself. I ask why. What in my mind I can't rely on myself. I ask why. What in my mind I can't rely on myself. I can't hold on. Do what I want when I'm stretched so thin. It's all too much to take it. I can't hold on to anything, watching everything spin. The thoughts of failure sinking in. If I turn my back, I'm defenseless.
I don't know what you guys think, but I mean, obviously, I think the most plain and simple, obvious, take from this song is being alone to deal with your thoughts and really trusting nobody but yourself.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to take one step back before we get into that, because I absolutely agree with you, Ryan. But I wanted to touch on what Max said earlier about different themes. Last couple times we were talking about this. We were talking about how I think we all came to the conclusion that there's a story being told here, right?
Yep.
Right. So
Absolutely.
I think at the end of our last episode, we were talking about how all the different emotions and themes are really coming to a pinnacle or a rising point. And I think this song serves as one of the action items where the person singing is no longer able to be around other people anymore. They need to be by themselves and to deal with their own thoughts and emotions. Like you said, Ryan.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned, the progression of the theme and whatever, I've been looking back through the track titles, and it's like a storyline through injury and recovery. I mean, Paper Cut, the first track, is like the initial wound. One Step Closer is the beginning of the healing process. With You is like denial. Points of Authority is like an argument leading towards who was wrong in the situation. Crawling in My Skin is dealing with, the truth of the matter. Runaway is leaving, and then By Myself is where we're left now, and that's the realization that you ended everything and you're alone and starting the recovery process.
Right. They ran away, literally. They're by themselves now.
All the analysis we've been doing on this album, and I just realized that, emotional progression now.
I do I never even thought about that when you mentioned Paper Cut. Like the fact that it's an affliction, right? It broke the skin, and that skin imagery comes in Crawling. I think probably the most prominently, right? They literally say crawling in my skin, like all those different issues. They already got in because of that paper cut. You know, it's one little small thing, but it's festered so much now.
It's the realization that things are actually going wrong.
Mm-hmm. And we haven't heard anything about like actually getting rid of those problems yet, though. Like there
Right.
hasn't really been any resolution at all. So I guess I wonder if we already went and did all the research for the other songs, but it's like I wonder if that was something that they had in mind where maybe there wasn't supposed to be a resolution yet or in each song. I mean, there kind of,
Right.
but there kind of isn't. And
It's like a false cadence, open ending.
mm-hmm. It really, yeah, we touched on this last time too. It really is up to the listener to make up their own interpretation for it. Listening to each song individually, I think, is important, but when you listen to them
Right.
all collectively, you get that deeper meaning or that deeper story that they're trying to tell in this case.
Which I feel really was even a further step, a brave step, because not only were they exploring a new genre, but they were exploring, musical storytelling where the album is essentially a novel.
Mm-hmm. I would love to know if they drew inspiration from any like more classic rock groups or people from like the 70s or 80s.
Right.
I hate to plug them again, but I think of Rush in terms of storytelling all the time just because I've been listening to them a lot recently.
Yeah.
Because that was one of their main points is that, I mean, they have stories and songs that span multiple albums in their case. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are quite the masters of telling stories, that's for sure.
Right.
Should we read some lyrics here, perchance?
Yeah. Get at it, Zach.
All right, I got this. I'll do my best rendition. See if I can get into the cadence here of their song. So, start off with, "What do I do to ignore them behind me? Do I follow my instincts blindly? Do I hide my pride from these bad dreams and give in to sad thoughts that are maddening?" And I have notes already, so I'm going to stop for a second. And we kind of already touched on this, but I noted that the singer finally took action to like separate themselves from their friends or whoever was having a negative effect on their life. So they actually finally did something instead of just like sitting there idly and being, engrossed in their emotions and their feelings. So now that they're on their own, it really sounds like they're starting to double guess their actions. Was it worth it to get rid of all these people and their friends? Yes, no, maybe so. I don't know yet.
Do you think that's part of the bad dreams?
Potentially.
Do I hide my pride from these bad dreams? Like, what do you mean?
Like you're saying, like was it worth it to run away from, I think, all your friends, you were saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think do I hide my pride from these bad dreams means do I put myself and my pride above stooping down to getting rid of friends that have wronged me.
Mm-hmm. Like bad dreams in a sense almost means like the memories or just the feeling of being around those people.
Right.
Yeah, and in this case, it might not be actual dreams, like you were kind of hinting at there. It might just be, reliving the past even while awake.
Mm-hmm. I think the next verse has
there's-
a little bit more on that too. I guess I'll read it. Sorry, I didn't want
that's what I was expecting. I apologize.
Sorry. I feel like I'm Canadian this stream. Sorry.
Right.
All right. So do I sit here and try to stand it, or do I try to catch them red-handed? Do I trust some and get fooled by phoniness, or do I trust nobody and live in loneliness? So again,
That is
it's hashtag deep, if you ask me, Ryan.
Yeah, that is, yeah. I mean, that's a struggle that I think a lot of people can deal with, or relate to, I should say. Um, do you decide to be friends with some people and have them fake you into belief that friendship is real, or do you just, live in solidarity and not have to deal with the pain? I mean, it's
So like this verse, it almost lays out three options for them. And they kind of outright say it. They say, "Do I sit here and try to stand it? So just do nothing and just like live with
right,
the decision that they made," which is kind of what they've been doing the whole time, just dealing with
right.
their decisions as they come. Second option, do I try to catch them red-handed? So that almost implies like trying to get back at the other people, almost like maliciously in a
It's
way.
almost like a bait and switch kind of, in a way.
What do you mean by like a bait and switch? Can you
Like,
expand on that?
so you try to initiate a situation where they would have to choose between um, either standing by you or betraying you. So
Hmm.
kind of a half and half situation where they could either stick up for you or just run away and, abandon the situation. And that would tell you whether or not they're actually, a true friend.
So like an ultimatum, kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, put yourself in a fake bullying situation, I guess. It'd be like a TikTok video to put it into, modern situations, like a prank video
Hmm.
where you try to lure someone into either standing up for you or just bailing out and saying, this really isn't worth my time.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Yeah, I never thought of it that way. All right.
It's
So
kind of you can test their friendship, really, their commitment.
yeah, I, that's so interesting because we haven't really even heard a whole lot about these people, these friends. I mean, we've heard about like the lover that the person has, but not a whole lot about like the friend group that's been there the whole time, presumably. So it's interesting that they want to take such action here with the second option and like do something about it.
Right.
And then the third option is probably the most grim out of all of them. So it's like, do I? Well, actually, I guess there's four, but 3/4. Do I trust someone, get fooled by phoniness, or do I trust nobody and live in loneliness? So it's a contemplation of whether or not they actually want to trust these people or not at all. So either just standing by and doing nothing, trying to do something about it, or actually just debating, who can I trust and who can I not. So there's a lot of stuff going on in just this one single line about the current situation that they're in.
Right.
Do you think that By Myself was intentionally put underneath Runaway because of the contextual similarities?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think as far as emotional and situational progression, I think they were running away from something and then they hit the realization where they were by themselves, nobody was there to help them, and they were going to just have to get through it without any help.
What do you think, Max?
Oh yeah, I was just curious if you guys agreed as well because it's pretty obvious that it has that linear, pathway of being in a clique essentially, but not really wanting to be there, and then running away from that and being by yourself, being alone, not having those people, even though you believe that they were phony, like phonies, I guess. But now you really don't have anyone to talk to except yourself.
That also brings up a question, do you think part of the song is wanting to still stick around these so-called phonies because of the situation that they're in, or do you think they're trying to move past? I mean,
Really makes me feel like they want to try to move past it, but they're resentful because they don't know what the future is going to hold for them if they choose to do that.
right.
It's
Yeah.
tough, It's like you have familiarity in your friends and that whole, I guess you know those people, right? There's a certain comfort that comes with that. But
Right.
it's painful to be with them, right? So you also want to move on at the same time. You're like torn between the two options.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
It almost sounds like he's dealing with like a very intense like case of anxiety and part of that paranoia that we saw in the beginning of the album. Kind of
Right.
both kind of working together because he can't like get over the fact that he left, but he's still, like Zach was saying, worried about the future and what that holds.
Mm,
Yeah, a couple of my notes here. I see one bullet point says betraying yourself, but yet not knowing where to go. And the next bullet point says being afraid of not knowing how to please everyone close to you, but yet being overwhelmed by the need to take care of everyone else over yourself. So it's a lot of not being able to decide which route you want to take. Do you worry about your friendships or your past friendships in this case, or your health?
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, Zach, you were saying that you thought it was more of him wanting to get over it, get over the fact that he left his friends. Ryan, do you think that as well? Do you think he's trying to get over it, or do you think he's
I think so.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just trying to move past a chapter in his life, and those people are a big part of it. So you just need to wipe the slate and start over.
It's just him taking time to get over it, I think.
Yep. Agreed.
maybe if we read on, we will find out more about what they
God,
decide to do.
I hope so.
Yeah, you getting messed up by this, Ryan? Just don't
a little
know.
bit. I just don't know.
This kind of a deep dive can be a bit jarring, I will admit.
Especially for this album. This is a
Mhm.
huge part of my childhood, and to now discover all of this hidden meaning 20 years later.
Dude, when we move on to the other albums, it's probably going to be even worse. I'm just throwing that out there now. It's going to be even worse. Just watch.
Just dissecting the double meanings in American Idiot alone.
Oh,
Oh
spoiler.
my God,
You
Max.
spoiled it.
Soiled it. Soiled it.
Spoiled it. Edit that out. Edit that out. You can still save it.
Tell that producer guy.
All right. Stop me at any time here. I don't have a whole lot of more notes for this song. I do have some kind of towards the bridge, like usual. I tend to find more meaning in like the changes, but again, stop me whenever you feel like whenever you have something that you want to add.
Well, I'll be honest. I don't have a lot of notes past this point, anyways, or either. But the way this episode has been going, a lot of things just pop up randomly. So, I mean,
Okay. Max, do you have anything specifically in the coming couple of segments at all, or?
I have one last note for the song.
Okay. So there's like 2 or 3 lines that I wanted to ask you guys about. Where's your note? Do you know where? Because we
It's
can
towards-
skip it, but
It's towards the chorus.
okay. All right, I'll keep going then. All right, so where we left off, let's see. Okay. Because I can't hold on when I'm stretched so thin, I make the right moves, but I'm lost within. I put on my daily facade, but then I just end up getting hurt again. And now we go into one of the coolest parts of the whole song. Fucking Chester's screaming, by myself. Myself. I ask why, but in my mind I find I can't rely on myself. I ask why, but in my mind I find I can't rely on myself. I can't hold on to what I want when I'm stretched so thin. It's all too much to take in. I can't hold on to end things watching everything spin with thoughts of failure sinking in.
Isn't it so cool the way they finish each other's lines?
It's extremely cool, man. It's so cool. I love it. The whole like duo of singing that they got going on. It's so cool. Oh my god.
It's like two
So
completely different like moods. Like
Two different
don't-
sides of one person.
exactly. I mean, there's one that's slightly calm, and then it's just the shrieking of the darker side of the line.
hmm It's like a contrast between the physical and mental state of what's going on. You have the calm of they've run away from the people that they were by, right? So they're by themselves and it's calm now. But then mentally, there's all this stuff going on inside. So it's like screaming out, it needs to be addressed now. They need to decide what to do.
So, okay. I just had another revelation because for some reason I'm just realizing more things about this album as we go.
Hell yeah. All right, let's hear it.
So, the dual lyrics, I think, is even a further nod to. We touched briefly on schizophrenia in the first two parts.
I see where you're going. Okay.
I think the two sides of lyrics in the chorus is another nod to that. Because the person themselves, they're singing the first part of the line, and then the voices in their head are finishing it out.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. I never would have went there.
So like, what if you
And
thought?
I don't know why I went there. I really don't.
What if you thought like one line, like for example, but in my mind I find I can't rely on myself. So it's like, but in my mind he's like almost asking his inner voice.
It's another. Oh, it's like a double entendre.
Yeah, and then
So like,
yeah, he's telling
continue,
himself
sorry,
he
go
can't.
ahead.
No, yeah, he's telling himself he can't rely on his own thoughts.
Yeah, so
himself.
it's like it's two people, one actual person, one in their head, finishing the lyrics, and then I can't rely on myself is another meaning describing why the second half of the lyric is another person.
Mm-hmm.
Like the person can't rely on their own brain to finish their thought, so the person in their brain is finishing it for them.
Oh.
Like think about it when he says I can't rely on myself. I mean, you're talking about yourself. It's almost like there's a second person. You know what I mean?
He's accepting his illness and acknowledging that somebody is going to finish his thoughts for him or his actions for him because he can't rely on his own mental stability to complete that thought or action.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think you nailed it on the head, dude. I think that's exactly it. I never even thought of it that way, but yeah. Yeah. Totally.
I have a feeling Mike Shinoda is gonna somehow land on this, and he's gonna be like, "Dude, these guys are looking way too far into it."
You guys need to calm the hell down. Just listen to the album, please.
You guys are fans, but just tone it down about 10
It's
notches.
just a banger. Don't look that much further into it.
I would love that if he's like, guys, we know it's a banger, but hear me out.
It's not that deep.
Damn.
But I think it
I know
is
we
actually.
I do think it is that deep, to be honest.
This chorus even, I mean, I can't hold on to what I want when I'm stretched so thin, meaning, you're mentally exhausted. It's all too much to take in. I can't hold on to anything watching everything spin. So you're just wrapped up in your thoughts trying to make sense of what's going on. And with thoughts of failure sinking in is knowing that at the end, this is just going to tear you apart. Unless you rope it in and, bring your thoughts into control.
Like you said before, they've accepted that this is an issue, that this is something that is going to affect them for the foreseeable future. Because they're mentally exhausted at this point.
Yeah.
All right.
Fuck deep, dude.
Let's continue
I hate
on.
this series. I hate this series.
We're continuing on. We can't stop. So, I'll kind of okay. So if I turn my back, I'm defenseless. If I go blindly, seems senseless. If I hide my pride and let it all go on, then they'll take me till everything is gone. If I let them go, I'll be outdone. But if I try to catch them, I'll be outrun. If I'm killed by the questions like a cancer, then I'll be buried in the silence of the answer. Ooh, so good. I love those last two lines. If I'm
Yep.
killed by the questions like a cancer, then I'll be buried by the silence of the answer. So good. So good. I love it. Wanted to stop briefly because not a whole lot of new information is given here. It's more just elaboration on the couple of options that I was talking about before, just like what it is that they want to do, kind of the contemplative process of the benefits or maybe the pitfalls of each option. So there's not a whole lot of info, in my opinion. It's just kind of more internal deliberation going on here.
It's just reiteration of a
Yep.
common theme at this point. I mean,
It's just like the other songs. Like the first verse kind of lays the groundwork, and then the second one elaborates on it further, and then the bridge and like outro section kind of gives like some like final thought or like just consolidation point, and then it's done, and you're on to the next song.
yeah. It's almost like, in case you forgot what I was talking about, let me give it to you another time here.
So after that, we have the chorus repeating again, but I wanted to stop and talk about the bridge. I'll read the lyrics real quick. So again, it's slower, right? So it goes, "How do you think I've lost so much? I'm so afraid I'm out of touch. How do you expect I will know what to do when all I know is what you tell me to?"
Again!
Again. What?
It's
What?
just-
What again?
So there's two ways this could go. It's either an external source, like a relationship, like we've been talking about. This whole album, oh my god.
Oh boy, here he goes. Here he goes.
This whole album could, one, be about a relationship and breaking down, or two, an acceptance of a schizophrenic diagnosis. And the
Maybe both.
relationship is actually the person inside of their head telling them what to do.
Maybe both.
Because how do you think I've lost so much? They've come down a spiraling path where their mentality has declined to the point where they can't handle it anymore. I'm so afraid that I'm out of touch. They have no grasp on reality at this point.
So
How
I'm
do
going to
you
pause you right there. I'm going to pause. So those are
Okay.
the two lines that I wanted to touch on. I'm so afraid I'm out of touch. What I wanted to point out was that this section is so staggered. I wanted to get your take on whether you think those two lines are meant to be read together or separately. Or maybe it's a little bit of both, where they're saying I'm so afraid just because of where they're at, and they're also stating that I'm out of touch. Or are they afraid that they're out of touch? I don't know. Because again, I thought that those two lines, they linked really well together. So I don't know if it's one or the other. And based on what you've been saying, Ryan, I don't know even more. I really don't know.
Going on what I said and then hearing what you said, I don't know. How do you think I've lost so much?
Both. That's why I'm saying maybe it's both.
I feel like it's almost a conversation that has been initiated.
Mm-hmm. Like
And
a
it's
conversation with their inner self.
Yeah. Like, what is going on with you? Or like, you're so disconnected, and then they say, how do you think I've lost so much? And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a confession to an outside entity, or if it's an admission to yourself.
I think it's to themselves, because this whole song it's literally titled "By Myself." So from that, I
Yes.
would assume that it's
So-
to themselves.
How do you think I've lost so much? I think it's almost an inner self analysis.
So hold
And
on.
they just changed I to you.
T. I'm going to call T as well. Something I didn't know or didn't think about either. So the song is titled "By Myself," right? Like they're physically by themselves, but they're not at the same time. Ryan, you were talking about how
Right.
like this inner person is with them always, and this is all like a contemplation and like battle within themselves. So they're by themselves physically, but mentally they are very much not alone in this case. It's
Right.
like it's a direct contradiction, almost by design and by purpose, which probably is.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
I had to call T because I was just seeing that for the first time.
I got a T as well.
Max also has a T.
Triple
Just
T.
T's
I have
everywhere.
I have a very deep question I wanted to ask you guys. So in the
Give me the
line that
whistle.
we're talking about, if I'm killed by the questions like a cancer, then I'll be buried in the silence of the answer. So what if the questions are linked to what he's asking himself throughout the song, and he's not able to answer his own questions, so he almost kills himself within going crazy.
Because his inner self will not answer the questions because he himself does not have the mental analysis of said questions. There is no response in his brain to break down what he's wondering.
Or enough mental stability to console himself to be able to work through his issues.
Come to realization. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, guys. Like I said, I have nothing more to add to that. You guys got it. Dead nuts.
Because it's that's what I mean. Like, is that the what he's relating the questions to, his own or someone else's? And I would probably go with his own.
Well,
I mean, I'm inclined to agree with you, Max.
and then I wanted to go on. Can I go on to the next two lines of that interlude?
Do it.
So, how do you expect I will know what to do when all I know is what you tell me to? He's relying on the inner voices in his head to direct his further actions. He has no ability to decide for himself what the best actions are for his life. He's relying on the voices in his head to show him where to go next.
Mm-hmm. We saw that
And
in
he's
the
trying to
first
ask
one, too.
Yeah. And he's trying to ask the voices in his head how he's supposed it's a much deeper meaning than how do you expect I will know what to do. Basically what he's asking, specifically is how am I supposed to go on through life continuing to deal with these voices directing what my next actions are.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is almost an admission that continuing with this illness, he will not be able to live just because he has no free will over anything that he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that point is like it's further amplified by the next couple lines. So I'm going to keep going because I think you, again, Ryan, you totally nailed it. It goes on to say, "Don't you?" I don't have the. It's not in the official lyrics, but Chester's like screaming, "Don't you know? I can't tell you how to make it go. No matter what I do, how hard I try, I can't even convince myself why. I'm stuck on the outside." Then it goes, "Don't you know? I can't tell you how to make it go. No matter what I do, how hard I try, I can't seem to convince myself why. I'm stuck on the outside." So it's furthermore that internal person, they have the control here. And he even says in the very last line, they feel like they're stuck on the outside, like they're not in control of what they're doing anymore. And they recognize it. They full on recognize it in the song. They don't have control.
And that's almost reiteration on them trying to run away. Like they're stuck. They're outside, but they can't move past that outside. They're still somehow attached to the internal voice.
It's almost like they're trying to run away from themselves and not even the other people around them. I mean, the other people around them, yes, but also themselves.
Dude, this episode is seriously messing with me. Like,
It's like, think about it. You're this far in the album. He's probably definitely self-aware of his own mental, issues that he's dealing with. Yeah, you could be right. He could be trying to run away from his own thoughts somehow, contextually.
So yeah, that's we got the chorus one more time at the very end. Any other thoughts on this song? That's all I got. We got to keep rolling here. We're 40 some minutes in. We only been through one song.
piss on these episodes. That's my final thought. I can't even process what's going. Dude, I've been listening to this song since 7th grade, and I've never picked up on any of this stuff in these songs. Ever.
Mm-hmm. Same, dude. Same.
Ridiculous.
Well, it sucks because I'm so terrible at like hearing lyrics and like memorizing them. Like I think you guys are way better than I am. I listen for like melodies a lot, like guitar parts and drum parts and stuff, and I think you guys are really good at probably hearing the words and being able to relate to songs that way.
Yeah, you definitely pick up like beats and melodies way better than I do, Max. Like I can just tell from like you walking around the apartment, like doing different stuff and drumming. Like, yeah, you totally pick up on that stuff way more than I do.
Yeah, so it's to me, it's just listening to all these different thoughts that we're collecting together about hidden meanings, intentional meanings, and just overall themes in the whole album. Really interesting.
Well, and I'm like a combination between you two. Like Max, I share the whole analyzing musicality. Zach, I share the whole lyricist thing. So I go like double nuts because I'm thinking of everything at the same time.
Yeah, I tried to like. I didn't try. I did tone down any like real music analysis in this album just because I don't think it has as big of an impact as different artists. Because it's such like it's a mix between rap and hip hop and all the different like instruments that are going on in here. There's a lot of digital stuff, and you do have like some guitars and everything else. But I don't see it as being as prominent in the meaning that's going on here compared to the lyrics. So that's why I chose to go down the path that I did.
Yeah, I think the musicality is such a more basic meaning because it's, like you said, rap and I'd say hard rock, alt rock, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
It has more of like an underground, because you're choosing between rap and rock, which a lot of people would consider opposite ends of the genre spectrum.
Yeah.
So you would consider yourself pretty different for listening to stuff that has both of those in the same genre.
Mm-hmm. A little best of both worlds action.
Right. So the way that he describes being kind of like he doesn't belong to any cliques or friend groups, really. It's being that outcast. And I think the musicality has, of course, as we all probably can agree, a really big link to the lyrical content in all the songs.
Yeah, it echoes the same message that's coming across in the lyrics with just the genre of music.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, man. I really didn't even think about it that way, but that's pretty crazy.
Right. Like that's what makes this album even better is the musicality is so intertwined with the message that's being, screamed through the words.
Hell yeah. I'm ready for the next one, guys. Are we ready to go into the granddaddy of all the songs on the album?
I feel this one's gonna be kind of short.
Yeah,
everyone's heard it.
Everyone's heard it. Yeah. All right. Well, numero 8 in the end.
It starts with one thing. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock takes life away. It's so unreal. Didn't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. Trying to hold on, didn't even know I wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to be will eventually be a memory of a time I tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. One thing, I don't know why, it doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind.
We just want to jump right into it, or do you
Yeah,
have anything to
go
say?
for it, man.
I feel like the
I
whole
don't have a
theme
whole
of
lot.
this. Neither do I. I feel like the whole theme of this song is realizing that you basically hid from important moments in life, or possibly even life itself, and that it doesn't actually matter because nothing carries over. Like everything you finish in your lifetime is just that's it.
Mm-hmm.
There is no fixing anything after it ends. I mean, you
After
you
the damage
leave
has been
behind
done.
what you sow. You reap what you sow. Actually,
Yeah, I totally agree with that. To further elaborate on that, it seemed like this song acted as a recap of what we've seen so far. I really don't feel like going into all the lyrics of this song because I don't really think
No.
it will help that much.
it doesn't really matter,
Yeah, just like the song.
right?
In the end, it doesn't even matter. But yeah, I guess what I'm really trying to say is that through all the different song lyrics in this one, they're kind of recounting all the different stuff that has happened so far that they've talked about. Just talking about the second one. Let's see. It's so unreal. It's so unreal. Don't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. I'm trying to hold on, but didn't even know. I wasted it all just to watch you go. Again, talking about the regrets about the amount of time that they spent on relationships that didn't really matter to them, that they ended up leaving.
Right.
We see some more references back to the abusive relationship we talked about before. And just looking at all my notes, it's all about those relationships and just talking about them a little bit more.
I feel like this is
right.
just him trying to get over what he felt in the song With You. You know?
That's exactly what I thought too, Max. Is like it's very indicative of With You, that song specifically.
Yeah, because he says, remembering all the times you fought with me, I'm surprised it got so far. It's like you said, talking about those abusive relationships we talked about with that song.
So what I am starting to question now, based off of what Ryan told me, or not told me, I guess just said, was that I don't know whether that relationship is with another physical person or that relationship is with his inner demon, the like schizophrenic. I don't know now. I thought for sure going into this that it was an actual physical person, like an
But you don't
actual,
know.
like an actual lover that this person had, and they got into like a physical argument with. But now I don't know. I really don't know.
Or what if there were two people in the band that had, very big parts in writing it? They wrote it together, but each person had a different meaning behind it. Could be the case too.
Yeah, I forgot. I totally forgot about that. That you mentioned that the whole band was behind writing all these songs.
Mm-hmm.
I hate all of
Me
this.
think that it's both. That just makes me think that it's both at this point.
I hate all of this.
It provides
I really
more
do.
questions than answers.
I feel like I'm watching an episode of Lost. I have no idea what's going on. Just a smoke monster flying around.
So are they dead?
I feel
They stay on the plane?
I almost feel like in the end may have been written after all of the songs that came before it. I feel like this may have been an emotional/mental cap. Just kind of summarized everything that happened before.
Mm-hmm.
And then branched into the last 3 albums as kind of a
Songs, last 3 songs.
like a recap, songs, sorry. Yeah, as just a recap to, all the emotions packed into this track list.
Mm-hmm. It's a recap, but it's also a prelude in a sense. Like you said, it's
Right.
capturing everything, but then also setting the stage for what's going to happen in the final couple songs of the album, right?
Yeah, which is arguably just as ridiculous, if not more ridiculous, than what we've already covered.
So, one set of lyrics I wanted to quickly touch on, guys, and I think this kind of answers the questions we had from before of, is it a physical person or is it the, well, maybe not. Here, let me just read and we can talk about it. So the lyrics I'm harping on here are, I've put my trust in you, pushed as far as I can go. For all this, there's only one thing you should know. It's at the very end of the song. And again, I don't know if they're talking about somebody like a physical person that they're reaching out to for help, or is it that they're actually putting their trust in that person inside of them now, like we saw in the last song? Are they trusting that person now to make all the different decisions for them?
The problem is, in this situation, people with this ailment consider the people in their head real people. I mean, there's such a disconnect between actual reality and what's going on inside their head that line could really go evenly both ways. The people with this ailment will consider the people in their head an actual friend, an actual voice of reason, and they don't have the ability to discern between external parties and internal parties.
Damn. Again, more questions.
I got another theory for you.
Oh, don't do it.
So
Max,
what if
we're already messed up enough? Alex, please.
So okay, hear me out. What if
another episode coming?
What if we had this completely just relate to his past relationship because he had to rely on his significant other to counteract his demons inside him? So when he's saying he put his trust in you, he's literally talking about her because he can't trust himself.
Okay, stop. Okay, so guys, if you got armrests on your chair, hang on to them. Brace yourselves for this whole situation. What if, so you mentioned past relationships. What if, in this mental illness state, the subject of the song has materialized emotions from past relationships into inner beings? And all of these people from past relationships are conveying their own personalities and feelings in the relationship into this whole mental struggle.
So you think he's having voices that are linked to the people that he cared about that are trying to convey subliminal messages?
Yeah, I think he's digging back on past, affectionate relationships and trying to somehow manifest those into some sort of justification for what he's going through.
I mean, we already saw that they were like super dependent upon that relationship before, with, again, going back to with you, like it was a unhealthy dependency on that.
Right. And there are definitely examples of that in the real world. People kind of they anthropomorphize emotions from past relationships into justifiable feelings.
So that almost answers the question then that I had before. Is it talking about what's going on in their head? Like, is that what's being talked about, or is it a physical person? And
yes,
based on what we've said, I think that it's a physical person in this case, but they're being manifested both in their head. So
so it's both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we get an answer, but we don't.
Kind of like how sometimes if you've talked to someone and you have like a really close relationship with them, you can imagine people with, schizophrenia, voices in their head will have very amplified, you could say, eccentric versions of that person talking to them. Not exactly how they would be, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do know.
Yep.
What you
They portray the same feelings,
A more
ambitions,
extreme person.
motivations.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just amplified version of what they would think themselves.
Hmm.
So even though this song very overplayed in my opinion, but we had some real good breakthroughs from a narrative and like analysis standpoint here.
As much as I despise this song just because of the overdone radio play, we pulled some shit from these lyrics. Like,
Last thing, I also want to talk about this song. Do you think that the amount of times that he says the word I in the whole song is another way of him trying to console himself? Trying to like build himself back up in a way?
Can you say that one more time? Like he's saying I in order to like build himself up again?
Yeah, he's going
Yeah,
over
well-
his own doubts in a logical way.
and that goes back to a very, very common method of restabilization for people with mental illnesses. Repeating the phrase I, meaning that you are still a person. The voices in your head do not, they're not all that you have. You still are an individual, and you need to come back and realize that you still have control over your thoughts. So that's a
Right.
very good point, Max. I mean, the I could be him trying to regain control over his whole mentality.
Right, like he's saying, I've put my trust in you, implying that he's done what he could do. He did his part. He put
Yeah.
in the effort, and he's telling himself, like, oh, I actually, I'm not a bad person. I did whatever I could to make the relationship work.
Right.
Uh,
He expects himself, his own mental ability, to be able to pull himself back in and kind of quell the voices.
yeah, he's just building himself back up by self-reassurance.
Right.
Yeah, it's self reassurance, but then it's all surmounting to the one final thing where he says there's only one thing you should know. He's building himself up, right? But then it's also a contrast of what he's telling that other person in this case, what has happened so far.
Which is also almost another form of reassurance. We're telling somebody else that this is what you feel, and their feedback, if it's negative, then you know you're in the wrong line of thought. If it's positive, you know that you're doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or just saying there's only one thing you should know is him being able to get the courage and confidence to be able to confront her or his demons.
Fuck, Max, shut up. Dude,
Another meaning.
Yeah,
this
it's,
whole episode just.
it's like a leap of faith, right? They're
Yeah.
taking that leap now. They're putting all their confidence and trust in that one person.
I put my trust in you, pushed as far as I could go. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing you should know. And he's basically being like, listen, bitch. And just goes off.
Here's what
you
I'm
know?
saying.
Yo, man,
Oh
All-
my
all
god.
these different meanings, man. It just makes me want to lay down. It's almost like I need a place for my head or something.
Hey.
Oh, teaser. I was really nervous about this first episode of this season just because I didn't know where the discussions were gonna go, but I purposely took less notes just so my brain could go wherever it wanted to.
Sounds like it's working out, huh?
It definitely has worked out. We've split this whole album into 4 parts, and it's
Yeah. Well, we got I think we got one more song in us for this part. We gotta do this last one here before we.
All right.
So we got track number 9, A Place for My Head.
Watch how the moon sits in the sky on a dark night, shining with the light from the sun. The sun doesn't give light to the moon, assuming the moon's gonna owe it one. It makes me think of how you act to me. You do favors there rapidly. You just turn around and start asking me about things that you want back from me. I'm sick of the tension, sick of the hunger, sick of you acting like I owe you this. Find another place to feed your greed while I find a place to rest. I wanna be in another place. I hate when you say you don't understand.
Obviously, the biggest thing is if you're trying to find a place for your head, you're lost in your thoughts. I mean, you don't feel like you belong anywhere.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about just the title in general, right?
Just in general, yeah. Just an analysis on title, yeah.
Yeah, I think we've reached that point where they're we kind of already talked about this before, where they're exhausted and they need to actually rest and talk about everything that's happened. They've up to this point, we've had conflict internally with other people. We've had almost kind of like a consolidation within the end. They've made their decisions and they've left either the friend group or whatever like bad situation that they were in. And now it's time for the singer in this case to like actually find some kind of resolution and, rest on what has happened thus far. They've gotten themselves out of the situation. They've confronted everything. They've consoled with somebody else. Now it's time for them to focus on themselves and rest. Finally, it seems.
Right. And that's the whole progression of the album. I really feel like it's an actual, culmination of mental fatigue caused by illness. I mean, it's just the way they laid it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's chronologically accurate, I guess I would say.
It is. And I'm glad we picked up on that theme right away. Because if we weren't all on the same page with that, I feel like we would be fighting the entire time. We would be like, no, this means this. No, this means this. But
right.
It's one thing that I'm glad we're all on the same page on.
Definitely.
However, so I say like this song is kind of resolute, but I also think that this is a bit of, I don't know, it's kind of it's not sad, but it's not good, is what I want to say. This is not a good song for the person singing, because I mean the first verse kind of explains why it's not good, almost because they're being taken advantage of a little bit. So we have, I watch how the moon sits in the sky in the dark night, shining with the light from the sun, and the sun doesn't give to the light. The sun doesn't give light to the moon, assuming the moon's going to owe it one. So that whole section really sets the stage for the rest of the song, in my opinion here.
I think in one of the previous episodes, you mentioned about the sun and the moon being brought up as themes throughout the album. How would you contextualize how this is being, I guess, spoken about?
I think the sun and the moon in this case is going back to that initial like lover relationship that was talked about in the first couple songs, where the sun in this case is their lover. So like they're independent, they're full of light and brightness, and like in their mind they're good, they're sustaining them. And the moon is the singer themselves in this case. And it seems like in this situation, like they found resolution or they've gone back to their initial lover or whoever this person is that they're claiming is the sun. But it couldn't be at a worse time because the sun, I'm just going to keep referring to them as the sun and the moon. The sun is almost like taking advantage of the situation and trying to get back favors from the moon in this case. Like it's they're taking advantage of them when they're at their most vulnerable point. So that's why I said it's really sad that in this time of like severe vulnerability, they're almost being taken advantage of in this case.
I had to step away for a second, so I don't know exactly what you covered, but building off of that, I feel like have we covered like what the sun and the moon kind of represent?
So that's
Yeah.
what I was saying as soon as you left. Max asked me what I think it contextualizes, and I was going with that it's like that original love relationship that we talked about with you. I think that's the third song.
Yeah.
I thought that's what that is harping on. What do you think?
I feel like the moon is depression and the sun is happiness.
Okay, so you took it more as like an emotional metaphor.
Yeah, and the sun doesn't give light to the moon, meaning there's somebody who's really dealing with some crippling emotions and can't really find the energy to be motivated / happy. And the moon is somebody, with a dissenting opinion, kind of condescending. And the sun doesn't give light to the moon, assuming the moon's going to owe it one, meaning the person. Well, I might have reversed those, but the person in a happy mood doesn't give joy to the sad person without expecting something in return, or knowing that this person that is depressed is going to come back and try to reconcile the situation.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you think of how you act to me. You do favors, then rapidly you just turn around and start asking me about things you want back from me. So basically, the depressed person just sits around, kind of, takes for granted the things that a person that is not afflicted by this situation in a relationship does for them. It's just basic household chores, cooking for them, cleaning for them, catering to them. And then the person that's depressed is expected to do things back to the person that caters to them.
Mm-hmm. So yes, not only is it physical favors or things, but it's also the emotional side of things too.
Right.
I think in this case, maybe they are feeling like when they are around, they're also happy. It's like think about physically with the sun and the moon. The sun is
Right.
able to sustain itself and emit its own light, and that light, or like happiness in this case, is shining off of the moon. So the moon on the surface, it looks like it's bright, just like the sun. It's happy when the sun is
Right.
there. However, when the sun is gone and they're not there anymore, there's no light being reflected off of the moon. So the moon is now dark, and they're taking that to mean like since they're not there anymore, the world or whoever is around them is expecting them to be bright like they were when the sun is around. So it's almost like the sun is asking them to do these things, but it's just the sun being absent in this case. The moon can't be what they are when the sun isn't around, if that makes sense.
So it's like somebody with no motivation feeding off the energy of someone around, and as soon as they leave, their life is over. And to be as vague as possible in an analysis of a song.
I mean, it's a bit dramatic, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know.
And to take it into the next set of lines, they almost feel like resentment towards the other person because of this, saying, "I'm sick of the tension, sick of the hunger, sick of you acting like I owe you this. Find another place to feed your greed. will I find a place to rest. So like they feel like this person is taking advantage of them when maybe in fact they're just like existing alongside them. So again, we go back to the whole theme of I just need to calm down and rest after everything that's happened so far. But because they feel like this person is taking advantage of them just by existing, it's just adding further to the problems going on here.
But I'm so sick of the tension, sick of the hunger, almost feeds to the fact that, you know, when you're depressed, when you have anxiety, when you have any sort of those emotions, you feel the need to not be a burden. You feel like everybody is tense towards you. You feel like nobody likes having you around because you are a burden. And sick of the hunger, I would think that would translate to a longing for more emotion, longing for a real relationship.
Hmm.
Sick of acting like I owe you this, meaning like you have been just sitting around on your ass being depressed, and now I want you to turn around and give me the life that I deserve.
So yeah, like do you think that means that they want them to be more like enthusiastic and joyful and like outgoing in
Yeah.
that relationship?
Yeah, and I feel like it's almost hinting towards the lack of understanding
Hmm.
from the other side when somebody's suffering from depression or anxiety. You know, the other side sees it as just being laziness rather than something that you really can't deal with and you have no control over, but the person just sees it as you don't want to be with me, you don't want to reciprocate any labor that I'm going through. It's
They
just
don't
it's
understand.
right. It's a cry for help, honestly. But phrased into kind of trying to educate the person on the other end.
Yeah, it's that cry for help. Like it's like we were
Yeah,
saying at the beginning
exactly.
of this. It's so hard to articulate these because it's very complex emotions and feelings and situations. But like you said, it's a cry for help where they're at an extremely vulnerable time. Just talking chronologically with everything we've talked about thus far and all the different songs, right? It's a very vulnerable time for them, and they're putting their trust and being vulnerable with this person, but they're acting hostile towards them emotionally in this case.
Right.
At least that's how that they're perceiving it, I think. And because of that,
I
it's like they really don't even have a safe haven in this place.
right. And I mean, find another place to feed your greed while I find a place to rest. Really says to me that they want the other person in the relationship to stop demanding things and failing to understand what's going on so they can just dip away and, you know, kind of push their problems aside, cope with what they're going through, and resume the relationship.
Hmm. And that is further amplified by the chorus here. They say, like, literally, they want to. I want to be in another place. I hate when you say you don't understand. Again, going back to them not understanding like the emotional give and take that they're going through right now.
Which
And
gives you
then,
even more emotional turmoil.
hmm and so I want to be in the energy, not with the enemy, a place for my head. So like they want to be in the energy of feeling happy and like
Yeah.
uplifted and good. But instead, because of this misunderstanding, they're almost getting another enemy in the person that they thought they could put their trust in. It's like it's a betrayal emotionally
Yeah.
and in this relationship, whether they like it or not. I mean, it's really not their decision in this case.
No.
Because like we talked about before, all their actions are being dictated, at least they are saying their actions are being dictated by that person inside of them or this other like being or entity.
Or even just depression. I mean, just I want to be with be in the energy is just somebody pleading to just have motivation to do anything. I mean, and not with the enemy. The enemy could be any assortment of things, really. I mean,
It's more like the royal enemy instead of just a person, really.
yeah.
I yeah, as much as I don't think it's really directed at that one person or like the other entity in this that we're talking about. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of just like in general, like you said,
I
Ryan.
think
It's
I
more
think the enemy is any internal struggle or external struggle. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't know.
So let's keep going, and I think maybe if we work through some of this, we'll figure it out. So it continues on and says, maybe someday I'll be just like you and step on people like you do and run away of the people I thought I knew and remember back then who you were. Used to be calm, used to be strong, used to be generous, but you should have known that you'd wear out your welcome, and now you see how quiet it is all alone. So stop just for a second, and I've so these two.
I have a lot. I have a lot.
I got
Do you
something to say
hear?
about that.
All right, go for it, because I'm confused.
Max,
at this
go.
point. I'm confused. I need you guys right.
Okay, so it's weird because he's kind of hinting compliments about how he originally saw her in his mind when they started having feelings for each other. And then he kind of reverts back to his current anger towards this person. But I was originally thinking about in the pre chorus when he said, I'm sick of the tension, sick of the hunger. Is he sick of the tension between the two and the hunger for wanting the connection back? He's conflicting with not sure if he hates or loves her.
Hmm. Yes, I want to say yes. Again, I'm really confused by these two segments, so I'm looking for you guys here.
Right, he's having two different feelings of love and hate. Um, but he's also almost sounds like he's being sarcastic. Maybe someday it'll be just like you. Yeah, he is being sarcastic. Step on people like you do.
Mhm.
But
It's like throwing it back in their face. Like, this is how you're acting, you know?
yeah, basically saying you changed since we started, dating. I don't know, man. There's a
Thoughts?
lot to unpack with that.
I am going to go the complete opposite direction.
Oh,
Max.
man.
I love it.
So, in maybe someday I'll be just like you and step on people like you do. I feel a longing for not being locked in your illness driven prison, I guess you could say. Having some sort of normalcy, some sort of aggression towards people, some sort of ability to defend yourself. Um, Run away all the people I thought I knew. So severing toxic relationships, having the ability to tell people that are, further amplifying your illnesses or your negativities, to just get out. I remember back then who you were. You used to be calm, used to be strong, used to be generous, but you should have known that you'd wear it your welcome. So I take that as someone who was in a relationship with someone who they agreed with, and like things go, the person that they were in the relationship with sort of branched out towards, clicky people, more something more hatred based, people that would push more people away that didn't fit in with the norm or the cool group. Um, Now
Yeah.
you see how quiet it is all alone. So they branched away from the person that they were with, betrayed all of their friends, and all of their friends decided to hate them. They realized that they couldn't fit in with the people that they were trying to click with, and now they're realizing what the subject of the song is going through.
Mhm. It's like they're trying to be something that they're not. Like, just trying to
Right.
fit in. Because they in the
So
last, what song was that? Runaway. And Runaway, they made the conscious effort and decision to leave that like cliquey group of people, right?
right,
But at the same time, this person that they are in love with or have a relationship with decided to go the other way. So they're conflicted where they chose to run away with the person that they love is trying to be, but like they like that person for different reasons. And they, I guess what I'm really trying to say is they have different motivations for who they are as like people and what they're trying to accomplish in this case. I think that's
right.
probably where the conflict is coming from. It's just that they're two different people. They're not the same people anymore. Not literally,
And
but figuratively, what they're
I
trying to
think. Sorry to cut you off there, but
No, I was
I
done.
think I think that the time that this album came out had a lot to do culturally as far as the lyrics go. Like when I was in middle school, when this album came out, cliques were very heavy. Bullying had just, I mean, I don't want to say had just gotten its start because I don't know what happened, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, but it was definitely a big part of groups in my school. And I almost feel like part of these songs, despite what we've already discussed as far as, the thematic element, I feel like part of these songs also were catering towards that part of society.
hmm I think Max can probably
Um,
attest to that more than anybody here. Like at the different stuff that you experienced in Cedarburg, right? It was like,
Yeah, being different than a lot of the other cliques were. Yeah, I could see a lot of the feelings. I think the amplification, the very emotional way he's describing his feelings, I think is more of the relation towards being against bullying in those toxic cliques, and then the actual words are more relative to more loving relationships.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? How have there's those two perspectives for maybe two different writers. One was more towards that feeling of being cast out, and then the other being cast out from a lover.
I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting the comments where this was really like a group effort. So yeah, again, it just further reinforces that it's probably both. It's like you have
but
so many different viewpoints going on here.
so going back to you used to be calm, you used to be strong, you used to be generous, but you should have known that you'd wear it your welcome. Is it saying is it saying that they were vindictive against friends that used to be close to them, or is it saying that they used to be calm and strong and generous, but that side of them was not widely accepted by the general population, and they wore out their welcome on the nice side, and they had to convert to the bully side
I think
because they were all alone being the nice person.
right. I think this could also be, instead of clique, it could be a like a best friend, someone that you've known since like second grade or whatever, and you go through like middle school or something, and you were the one that welcomed him with open arms into whether it's a friend group or just as friends. And then you grow up to find out this person becomes more toxic as they keep getting, you know, pushed into different cliques themselves.
Hmm. I think that it's more along the lines of like that the person changed because of the clicks.
Right, exactly.
They they were calm, generous, strong, like they were the rock, right? Like they were the singer's rock in the relationship. They were somebody that they knew they could depend on and they were there for them. However, in an effort to fit in with like the different cliques, they ended up changing their personality and who they were in order to fit in, and they're no longer the same person that they used to be, at least in the singer's eyes.
Mhm.
So is that where wear out your welcome comes in? Because I don't see wear out your welcome as not no longer being a part of the clique that you pretended to be somebody else to get into.
I think that stems from like where out your welcome is in that person was different, and eventually it got to the point where they needed to conform to what other people were doing, or like in the clique. Like they wore out their welcome of being the newbie and like being different and whatever. And finally it got to the point where everyone decided like, hey, you need to fit in with us and do these things. Otherwise you're not going to be a part of the group anymore.
His welcome was the friendship, and the wearing out was the procedural change through their, behavior.
Procedural. But then
Big
Um,
words.
Code,
yeah, right.
like Neo.
But
It's the
then
Matrix.
where does how quiet it is all alone come in then? I mean, is it a longing for the vast friends group they had outside of the popular clique? Is it not being accepted within the popular clique because you don't quite meet all of the standards? I mean, that's where my confliction comes in, because I don't understand how they could be all alone.
What line is that again?
Um, used to be generous, but you should have known that you'd wear your welcome. Now you see how quiet it is all alone. So they wore out their welcome. So does that mean that they didn't rise to the standards of the clique that they joined? Does that mean that they failed to join the clique that they wanted to, and they're no longer welcome in either group, and now they're alone?
I think it's the latter, or maybe like they tried to change to be in the group, but for whatever reason they just didn't end up being in it. And I think that's maybe why these two people are back together, because they find themselves in a similar situation where one left the group for their own emotional well-being, but another one left the group because they didn't fit in well enough. So they have that in common, but for very different reasons.
Dude,
My head hurts.
That's what I'm going with. That's my take on it.
you should have known that you'd wear out your welcome. I just. Yeah, oh wow. Yeah, Grammy said, oh wow.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and then you get back into the regular chorus. So sick of the tension, sick of the hunger. So I mean, I just like the bridge. You try to take the best of me, go away. You try to
They say
take the best of me.
8 times, by the way. They say that 8
Yeah.
times. That was the only other thing that I really wanted to talk about was that bridge. Like
So
why is that so important to say it 8 times?
So I have a couple different opinions on this. So is it a significant other trying to bleed the best of someone's emotions out of them? Is it, I mean, I don't know. I lost where else I was going when I tried to elaborate on that, but I just
So let's elaborate on that. You like bleed them of their best emotions. You try
yeah,
to
it's
take
like a leech. So the best of you would probably be a Foo Fighters song, but also your happiness, your drive for life. I think it just really caters to someone being a toxic significant other and trying to just drain you so you don't have the ambition to move forward. You're stuck with them
yeah,
because they're in control of your positive emotions.
yes, I agree with the second part. I'm still confused about why they would be a leech in the first place, though, because what we've seen so far. Like this person is so like emotionally and almost physically damaged at this point. I don't understand why or what the other person would see in them. Like what is
Well-
the best that they see in this case?
It's almost symbiotic. So like the significant other, I would think, if they're also faltered by the same emotions, they get in a relationship where somebody else is even more depressed and, has an anguish for life more than they do, so they can feel like they are the bigger person and somebody else is lower than them, and they can just suck everything from that other person, gain the last little bits of happiness that their significant other has to try to boost their mentality.
Yep. I think you nailed it there. It's like they're trying to seek refuge in that other person because they're in a similar situation, like I was saying before. However, like we saw in the very beginning of the song, the son or the other person in this case thinks that they're so much better than the other person. They're just draining them of anything that they possibly have left. Anything that they
Right.
think is like the best of them. It's being
Yep.
drained in this case. And the other person realizes this. I mean, Chester literally says, go away. Like,
Go away. You are killing me. I would like to move on. Go away.
and then further he says, stay away. So not only they
Right.
realize they're being drained, it's like they just don't want any part of it at all. Just no more, no mas. I'm done. I'm out of here. Nope.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate that I've dug this deep into things, but
Why?
I don't know. This
What is there to hate about that? It's a good
I
thing.
don't know. This album really spoke to me. I've never analyzed anything as deep as I have. Even these last 3 songs and this part of the episode. I had none of these thoughts while I was analyzing anything before we started recording.
Me neither.
It's just spontaneous. I don't know. It just connects. I don't know.
This has been my favorite part so far.
Absolutely.
The first 2 parts, they were deep in the sense that we got to really explore the like different types of emotions that are really harped on in this album. But this part has been my favorite because we get some form of like resolution in a way where they're talking about what they're actually doing about it and how they are experiencing life with the other people or person in this case around them. So
Yeah.
like we spent the first 2 parts really diving deep and getting into this huge emotional hole, but now we're starting to go up in a way. Not really,
Yeah.
but at least a little bit. So that's why I like this part so much more.
Well, it's like the first part was like the infliction, the initial onset of the issues. The second part was like realization that it's happening, and now we are in the acceptance of
Mhm.
said issue. Last part will be resolution / recovery.
Yeah. And spoiler alert, I don't think the recovery is going to be much better than the resolution.
Ah, Zach.
Just throwing that out. Man, Max looks like he's about to fall asleep over there. He's pretty drained too from talking about it.
Dude, this takes so much mental energy trying to relate it and then taking what you guys got out of it and working it around what I got out of it.
Well, I apologize because I dig way deeper into this than I thought I would. So
Well, it's eye-opening. It makes you appreciate the music more than just the radio airplay.
Mhm.
right, and having the 3 different opinions to kind of bounce off of each other. I mean, it's incredible how one song with one set theme can be interpreted so incredibly differently by 3 people.
And like Max said, I mean, not only that, but in essence, it was written by more than one person too. So maybe that's part of the reason why we have so many different interpretations, is that we're picking up on all these different meanings and themes that are coming from the different band members that helped write the song.
Right. It's interpretation catering to every class of people almost, in a way.
I agree. Well, we are way over time, but lads, any final thoughts? We did honestly, like I said, that was a ton of fun. We got through
That's
track
great.
number 9. We'll pick up with number 10 next time. Hopefully, not hopefully, we will finish this album review next time.
Dude, I'm excited for the track listing, how we all rate it.
Yep.
Not only am I excited for the track listing, I'm really excited. As much of a joke, I think, as we've been making it out to be, I really want to hear what you guys think about Cure for the Itch.
Track 10. Yep.
I'm looking forward to Cure for the Itch the most out of the remaining songs. But
In between now and recording the next one, I'm going to go to Walgreens, get a penicillin prescription, and then we'll be covered for...
sure.
Sure!
Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys don't have any further thoughts, I guess we should probably wrap up this episode, eh?
All right. Well, all I can say is keep your glasses full.
Indeed. Don't be dumb again. If anybody, if you made it this far in our album review, thank you for listening. Hit us up on socials, on email as well. Anyway, if you have any questions for us, please let us know. We want to hear from you guys. It'll help guide our conversation and decide what it is that we're going to do in the future. But
And I would love to do a couple album reviews on listener feedback. Let us know what your favorite albums are. Let us know things that have changed your childhood, your life in general, pushed in the right direction, anything that hit you real emotionally.
let us know your take on this album too. If you are interpreting this in a totally different way, let us know, because we want to like dissect that and figure out what it is that this stuff really means, or how you could interpret it. You know, we could
Not only. Go ahead.
No, that's all I got. Oh, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, and not only, I guess, I think we spent a lot of time each song really dissecting it, but I think even through a very diverse explanation between each part of the song, there might have been something that we maybe didn't unpack. So I think it'd be cool if there was someone that noticed something that they wanted us to explore further or to elaborate on. I think that'd be cool.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, the more
everybody,
the better.
Sorry, Zach. Everybody analyzes things differently. I mean, it's all dependent upon your own emotional interpretation. So we could have a bunch of people comment and have completely different opinions on everything, as far as lyrics and song breakdowns. It'd be cool to hear how other people think, just for educational purposes, I guess, really.
You could say A Place for My Head could deal with addiction, if you really think about it.
I'm not even. I'm not even gonna.
You know I'm
gonna
wrong.
Duplicate the max.
You know I'm not wrong.
In nomine Padre et Spiritu Sancti.
Catholic.
Stop turning the water into wine. I'm trying to take a shower.
Oh boy. All right. Well,
and on that note, we better run away.
I really do need to find a place for my head.
All right.
Okay.
That's been it. You guys said your catchphrases. Don't be a simp. All that.
Don't be dumb.
Deuces.
Keep it real. We'll see you next time.